Now we're recording. That. All right, perfect. So now we're recording. Took me just a second longer than it should have. But here we go. So we have some point of sale questions, some PO questions that we're going to go ahead and answer, and then we're going to go ahead and jump right into reports. So let's dive right in. Did you guys want to start at the point of sale? It's going to be probably the most useful to the most amount of people, so they can kind of start watching the video and kind of get their questions answered right in the beginning.
Holly, did you have point of sale questions?
Yeah, there was some on that yellow notepad, Holly.
Yeah, I've got it here. So one of them has to do with a gift card. So I don't know if that's something that we have to deal with Cayenne, or we're just wondering how to buy, how to redeem, how that works.
Well, yes, that's gonna, if you're processing through Cayenne, let's go ahead. Did you guys change your sysadmin password just yet?
No.
All right. See about that. All right, but yeah, if you're processing through Cayenne, if Cayenne's going to be the person that ultimately is processing your gift cards, then that's pretty easy. All right, our register is closed. Do you guys mind if I open the register so we can go through this?
No, it's fine.
Right then.
All right, so over here, register open. This is good to go ahead and check out one more time. We don't need to worry about changing any of this. We don't actually have a real count, but it looks like we're, all right, so we're not allowing a zero count entry. Sorry about that. Just get a little bit on here and we'll say finish. The last person I was training, they have the option of opening a drawer with a zero count. Convenient for training, but it really surprised them once they started going on stuff. But yeah, so once we're over here, you can actually just jump right to that tender screen and then hit the gift card, and this is what pops up. So whether they're going to purchase or redeem, it's all in the same little pop-up, so that's why we can just kind of jump out. So if they're going to purchase our given amount and then purchase new, or we can also add a value to it. So if you had, if somebody came with a gift card and they just wanted to add some more, it would just be that button right there. Other than that, over here, taken is that redeeming. So if we had items on this particular receipt, this would default to whatever our amount due would be. Because we have none on here, that's why it's defaulting to zero. But yeah, processing through Cayenne as your processor, gift card's going to be super easy. I think for a little bit, we talked about centrals as well. You have that as an option here. Remember, centrals is an option for both gift cards and gift certificates. We talked about it, you know, it's one of those things where it is usually less expensive because you're not paying per swipe. You're paid just essentially when you're buying the actual plastic cards. But they do not integrate with the web sales, which is why I think we decided to kind of go the route of our Cayenne integrated gift cards. But over here, we hit that central gift certificate for the, oh, looks like we need to go ahead and, if you guys are thinking about actually using centrals, we need to go ahead and check that out. But in this case, we would, when using centrals, and so this is going to be both for gift certificate or gift card, we would actually want to use a fee or like a negative amount. So we can go ahead and be able to return that money to the customer as a central gift certificate or central gift card. That is essentially a currency exchange at that point and not an actual sale. So gift certificates processed through Cayenne, or gift cards processed through Cayenne, like I said, are a little bit more straightforward. You get this nice extra pop-up box. Central is an option, but it's that there's another added step of where we have to go ahead and then train people to understand the difference between a sale and a currency exchange.
Right. I think the reason that it was written down too, if I remember correctly, the gift cards was when we were, so we have our little kiosks for the card swipes up front set up and linked, and we actually ran debit purchase and credit purchase through it with no issues when we were with the tech Kevin on the phone. But then when we were trying to, I guess we had maybe typed in like a redeem amount or something like that. So then the next screen pops up where there's like a card number, and then it wasn't reading to the reader wasn't noticing any swipe of our card, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
I see.
I think I remember too, it said there was a plug-in issue.
Like that's what the error box was coming up saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the plugin, Cayenne, we go ahead and cancel out of here, jump back over here. So Cayenne is actually technically a plugin. So yeah, if your Cayenne Genius device or your reader was not working properly, that's why you got that plugin error. Because it's technically an additional plugin to Retail Pro. It just comes with it, kind of out of the box.
So we just need to contact Cayenne, because when we were on with Kevin, what had happened was Cayenne had not activated our debit either originally, so he had to actually reach out to them for them
Got
to.
it. If we're experiencing that issue and if our Genius device isn't reading the gift cards that we've gotten from Cayenne, or it's just not reading our numbers that we had given to Cayenne, then they on their end might have kind of fumbled the ball again if they didn't have your that's a pretty big one, not having your debit cards turned on. But we might be missing that gift card switch being plugged in. We're not actively connected to a Genius device on this PC, right, Holly?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say we can try to test it and see what that pop-up is. But I wouldn't be able to if we don't actually have a Genius device on this machine. But yeah, your actual processing should be as simple as going to that gift card button and using that additional pop-up box. If you're getting some errors, I could say you can always definitely reach out to us, and we can go ahead and get on the line with Cayenne with you or for you, depending on the time that you guys have. Other than that, if you reach out to Cayenne, a lot of times, all they got to do is flip that switch, and then you guys should be fine.
Okay.
It's Cayenne that needs the list of all the current gift cards that we have, correct?
I'm sorry, can you go ahead and repeat that?
Cayenne, Ron, you had a list of all the gift cards we currently have with the balance on them, right? And have you sent those to Cayenne, or do they need to be sent to Cayenne?
Man, I'm having a really hard time understanding you, unfortunately.
She's asking about the list of the cards that we have on file and like the balance of them, if we need to still send that over to Cayenne. And I guess, are we going to do that as close to the actual flip over date as possible, I guess, if that makes sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did send some to him, but we want to do that again. And if we're flipping over on Thursday next, I'm on vacation until Wednesday. I could come in on Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening probably, and run those reports and email them down there. But other than that would have to be on Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just say probably as early as we can to at least contact them, make sure that everything is set up and that they're ready for that report. And then if worst case scenario, we have to do it Thursday, like I said, they already know to expect it. They know that they have to switch it on. And hopefully that way it's a little bit quicker for you guys.
Okay.
Well, alternatively, I can just go over with Casey how to run that report.
That would be perfect.
And then you can email them down there.
Okay. Yeah, do that.
So Ron, can you hear me, Ron?
I can hear you, but it's garbled.
Okay. Well, we can talk later. I just want to make sure that Cayenne acknowledged the reports that you already sent them.
All right. And so, like I said, and if you guys have any trouble navigating Cayenne's waters, you can always reach out to us, and we're more than willing to help you out. But do you guys have any other questions on point of sale? Any of your associates get their hands on this and have, some questions that you guys had some trouble answering.
What was the other?
There's just a couple other questions I had that we could maybe go over, Liz. One is on a return. The way it's set up on QuickBooks, there's actually a button on our screen that says accept return, and we scan the receipt. We were having trouble when we were trying to figure that out the other day. Right, Casey, that there was a certain point in time
Yes.
It didn't seem to work well that we could scan the whole receipt in.
Right. I guess a good way to word it would be, is there a quick way to pull up a receipt and then apply it to a transaction, as in, like, let's say they bring in all 4 items that they bought and they want to return all of them, which has actually been happening more because of COVID. Do we have to find the number of the item on the receipt and type it in and hit return, or is there a way we can just scan in the whole receipt at one time and then return that way, if that makes sense?
Yeah, okay. So one option is coming over here and flipping that back to a return receipt, and then you can go ahead and scan the items in. And it's the thing about a return receipt, the reason why we didn't spend too much time on it when we were going through is because on a return receipt, you cannot sell items. It's literally just to return these items that are here. And so this is going to be that way, the answer to those people who are coming in, and they are returning just everything. They're not purchasing anything else. Other than that, you can also, and then, if they did want to purchase something else, we could just run that as a separate sale right after. So it's not too much of a burden. But this is a little bit of a faster way. Then you can come in here and scan every single item, and it would be a return type receipt.
Okay.
But as an alternative, is it possible to do returns and sales on the same receipt if you don't go to a return?
Yes. Right.
It is possible to do a return and a receipt and a sale on the same receipt. You would have to go ahead and leave that receipt type as regular. And then for the items, for example, I'm just going to, I don't know if that's the real number. No, it's not. Of course it's not. Let me just jump in here to choose edit. That number has worked for me on like 15 different appointments, like back to back. It's been totally fine. All right, but here we go. We're going to hit OK on that. And so in order to go ahead and, sell the receipts as normal, we leave it as a regular return. And let's say these first 2 are our new sale items, and these last 2 are both going to be for returning. And then that's just the return. And again, we just reference that original receipt number. You can scan directly into this box, and a manager is right there and giving us permission to not have that original receipt. And just use that no receipt button, do it to this one as well, change mine, and so that's the other option. You can scan all of the items in. Let's say that these are all meant to be returned, all of these 4. So we're scanning these ones in first. Hitting that return item, scanning that original receipt number. All right. I'm going to say this is going to be that's okay. Oh, actually, this one doesn't even have anything. That's why we can't do it. Oh, that's that one. All right, there we go. So we actually referenced a receipt on that particular one. Over here, I'm going to say no receipt. And then from here, now I can jump back into my choose edit items, or scan those real actual sale items. And I think I hit choose edit current. Yeah, there we go. So choose edit items, and I'm going to go ahead and grab with my dot quantity right here another 2 items. And so that's another way that we can go ahead and make many returns on the same receipt as we're selling 2 items, 2 brand new items to this particular individual.
Okay.
Well,
so then while we're kind of on this, we were talking about doing store credit, correct? Like that's going to be something we have the option to do. So do you want to maybe, while we're on this quick subject, let's say that person just wants to have that 4223 applied to their store credit. Could you show us really quick?
And so that's going to be under we're just going to go to tender like normal. It was a negative amount, so we are over tendered. So now we owe change. We are signed in as sysadmin, which is why we can see all of the return type options. But signed in as a normal user, we would only be able to see the options that we have set up in our system preferences to return. We just want to make sure that store credit is one of those options. And so I would just come over here, hit store credit, and you see how it says given amount? That means this is what we're giving to our customer, to our client, and that's going to be that 32 or 4223. And it's this customer name. We are not allowed to change that. It does pull whoever's on our bill to and our store credit ID for this particular transaction. And then we just hit OK, and that's it.
Okay, cool. So that's one.
Print a receipt out for them as well?
What's that?
You can print a receipt out to give to them?
Yes. And that's our final step right over here, update only or print and update.
Right.
And so that's one of those things too, where this would save us the money of putting it on a card, but then we need to make sure that we emphasize the point that you have the person's right account put in when you're ringing somebody up, because if you had, Liz Johnson and there's a Liz S. Johnson, one of them's getting $42 and the other one's not.
Exactly. I'm going to go ahead and actually cancel out of this. Oh, nice reminder. We can't go ahead and cancel out of a transaction that has tender on it. So we have to come in here and delete that tender and close that. I am going to cancel. We're going to discard this particular receipt. All right. And so that's going to be kind of another point where we really have to train our associates on when we go to use this customer lookup. If we do have multiple people with the same, name or similar sounding names, that we're, taking that extra time to make sure that it's the accurate person. We are allowed to look up by full name. So if the full name comes back and there's only one result, I would just say you want to make sure that we're double checking the spelling, just to make sure that we're, especially with those, names that are very, very similar sounding. It's an I, not an E.
Right.
Also taking the time that, every once in a while to sit down and take a look at what your customer list looks like. Go into Tech Toolkit when there's nobody in there. Go through those merged customers. And I'm more than happy to go over how to get there one more time and group people by exact match for first and last name, and then kind of go through that again, because the more that we're in the habit of doing it every once in a while means that we have less work to do, once a year.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Other than that, any other point of sale questions?
Yeah, a couple of little things. One, just an information question is, we were wondering about so many of the customers we have there already have a discount built into their name and their information, and we were curious to make sure that information gets, when we grab all the data, that comes over. Because I know their sales don't come over, but I'm hoping that their basic profile information comes over along with their discount.
And so let me see. Have you guys completed your final data grab with Kevin?
No, that's Thursday.
Okay, yeah. All right, perfect. For whatever reason, I thought that he had already started some of that for you. So good to hear that he has not. But I will go ahead and send him another quick reminder, because I know I sent him a note when we first talked about this, but that was a few weeks ago. So I know that our customer discount, you said, was the thing that hadn't come over in that original data grab, correct?
Right. Yes.
All right. And we did get a chance to look at our QuickBooks data and ensure that was something that was set up. Like this shareholder here has in our QuickBooks data a discount % filled out.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And so is there a way, can we see that QuickBooks for just a moment so I can go ahead and see exactly what that discount field is named?
You want me to bring up QuickBooks?
If we have access to it, that'd be perfect. Oh, it's right there.
And just so we also remembered, the plan on that is that I'm going to go in and delete the customer profiles of people that haven't shopped since 2017, and then everybody coming forward would get the discount from QuickBooks to Retail Pro, basically, to simplify it.
Okay, got it.
You want me to go ahead and look through customers on my screen here? Can you see this?
Yes, yeah, I can see your screen. So this particular customer, where is it? Yeah, go ahead and navigate to your customer list.
Okay. It's not going. Maybe you have to do it, Liz. I don't know.
No, it shouldn't. There's no difference between you or I clicking anything in this screen. Let's see, what does that say? So encountered an error, connection terminated. Yeah. So we close it down, we'll restart it. Usually if that happens, that was, I don't know if you noticed, but that happened to our Retail Pro too. So that just means for whatever reason there was a moment where we didn't have connection to whether it be your internet or your network, and it just kind of timed out on us. All right. So I'll send Kevin a note on there so we can make sure that we're exporting everything for our customer profiles. And I think we already talked about this. Our discount percent was an exportable percent. Just want to make sure I know what field to tell them to keep an eye out for. Because as far as you guys have seen, that's the only bit of information that we're missing from our customer record.
Well, but they're saying that you can't bring over the sales history, right?
Well, yeah, we wouldn't be able to bring over their history, but from the, just like down to the addresses, the zips, everything like that came over last time, but our discount percent did not.
Okay, so that's
yeah.
Let me find one with a discount. I guess it's kind of random.
Wow.
And that one, it just says discount, right? That 5% discount.
Yeah. Open the customer up again. Do the edit.
Well, I can bring mine up. At least I know I've got a discount on it, so we can.
Well, yeah, that other one did too.
Oh, did it? I thought it did.
Yeah. Down there in customer settings, the lower left-hand side.
Customer settings.
Edit discount.
Down here.
There you go.
Perfect. All right, so I'll let them know exactly where to look for that. We'll remind them on that. Anything else for point of sale at the moment?
There was one thing that we have on QuickBooks on our screen called a quick pick button, and we couldn't see it on Retail Pro. It's useful for us.
Yeah. Retail Pro does not have that kind of quick pick grouping that is available within QuickBooks. Let's see. There are a few other options. One thing that a lot of people have done that we really like is they create what's called a cheat sheet right at point of sale. And so actually what it really is from our inventory, we can go ahead and select those items that, were part of your quick pick items. And we can go ahead and print them from our inventory in one of our barcode sheets or our count sheets. And then, when we go ahead and do that, that's something that we can post right there at point of sale, and our cashiers would be able to go ahead and use this barcode sheet and scan that item, without needing to actually pull that item, or, if there are things like stickers or chapsticks that are really hard to barcode, this is their cheat sheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah, Casey and I talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, perfect. So you guys are already on the right track, and that's just our
I think we
barcode
should
sheet.
figure that out.
All right. And so, do you guys want to jump into POs?
Sure.
Have another PO question?
I have a bunch of questions myself, and they're kind of all over the map. Holly, are you finished with yours?
I'm finished with the cashier part of it. PO is the other thing that I'm particularly interested in, and I've got a rep that's waiting for me, so I'm wondering if maybe we could go over the POs first, and then you can get into more of your receiving questions after I leave. That work?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Then let me go ahead and jump back over here to Retail Pro. We'll jump into our purchase orders, and Holly, you can hit us with that first question.
Yeah, so they're not really specific questions. It's more like just going through the basics. I know, and maybe it's just getting Mike or Heather or Ron or somebody to go through it with me. Are you comfortable with these now, Ron?
And Heather's pretty good at it too, and Mike is getting there. So we can spend an hour and train you and then give you homework to do.
Okay, so I don't want to take up your guys' time. If we've got somebody in house that can already ask all the questions they needed, unless you have more to ask about that, Ron.
About purchase
PO?
order?
Yeah.
Well, I have some general questions, and I don't know if they're specific to POs. Let me just look at my list here.
It sounds like we've reached that point where we can start asking some general questions. I will also, I just saw our PO training video. It's pretty light, but I'll get that sent over to you guys as well, so you guys have that additional video to show them.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
And the other thing, of course, is the reports. I know we were going to do some refreshing on that, so maybe that's something that we can do before I have to leave.
Okay, do you guys want to jump into reports then, and then if Holly has to head out, then we can do all of our general questions?
Sure.
Does that sound okay?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Sounds good. So let's go ahead and open up reports here. Like I said, I have 2 reports to drop in for you guys that are a little bit more custom, but other than that, the rest of those reports that I sent you are, available in our customs tab, and we can definitely move them over to that other tab if, there are reports that you think you're going to use and you enjoy, and we can, remind you guys how to do that. And so do we have specific questions for reports, or do you guys want just another tour of it and kind of the rundown?
I have specific.
Yeah, not specific. I mean, sales reports, inventory department reports, that type of thing. Probably what we're going to be using. Or I will be using more.
Okay. All right. And then I think I heard Ron say, Ron, you had a specific question?
Yes.
Okay. So what was the question?
Okay. Every now and then we end up with items that have negative quantity on hand, and one of our staff members runs that report and then goes and checks on the inventory to confirm that we either do or don't have any in stock, and then makes an adjustment to make that quantity correct. Which report would you use to give us all of the inventory items with a quantity on hand of less than 0?
So you can really use any of the on-hand summaries. So even opening up like our one of our most generic ones here, the key for this though is going to go ahead and be filtering. So quantity, I would say we can put that as a negative, whatever, all the way down to 0. So that's going to catch anything that has a negative quantity right now. And this is going to be just our basic inventory on-hand summary.
Would that catch the zeros as well?
Actually, yeah, you're right. It's going to catch my zeros. So let's change that. That's not a negative.
There you go.
There we go. Thank you, Ron. All right. And so, yeah, that's our inventory on-hand summary. And like I said, there's a few of them in our customs as well. That one, anything in the custom is going to give you a lot more data, a lot more columns. The one Retail Pro will give you this nice little graph But besides that, it's usually a little bit more simplistic. So these are all of the items that we currently have a negative quantity of.
Are you sure?
Well,
I think
this is the first page.
I think that's not correct, though.
This is the first page of it. This is the rest of it.
All right.
Yeah, so this is our grand total over here. That's the one thing I kind of don't like about the Retail Pro reports is personally, I guess I don't, need the graphs as much. So I wanted, more information on the first page. That's why I tend to stick to the big hairy dog ones. But again, like I said, this is a pretty simple report, and this will go ahead and give people that hit list for our negative quantities. We could also do that within Retail Pro.
Yeah, when we did it, we just went into inventory and exported it to Excel, right?
Yeah, we did a company on hand quantity. We sorted that from low to high.
Yeah, I mean, you can honestly do that exact same thing in Retail Pro. If you can either sort it here, or come into filtered view, and if we remember how to go ahead and add a little bit more. Actually, our store on hand quantity right there. It looks like someone who's already had the right idea, was already doing that. And then once it's there, then, we can select all, or if, it makes more sense to do it over here in our item details, and it will pull every column though, every column of information. So this might be a lot. Like I said, any one of those reports, we're just flipping to the negative.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, we can sort that in Excel.
Yeah, and this as well, if we export this, we can also go ahead and export this to Excel. If you're doing anything that has a graph, I would suggest using that text only, because then the graph drops like the prettier formatting, but it does mean that, things come over a little cleaner though.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, and that's the other thing about reports. We can go ahead and export them to PDF or Excel. And the main difference between those two, that text only, again, is going to drop all of the formatting and the pretty stuff.
Okay.
All right. And then while we're kind of in this screen, I will go ahead and point out one more time. This save as does save a snapshot of this report as it's run in this moment, but it is in an RPT file. Without Crystal Reports, we will be able to actually open that particular RPT file. And so that's why we try to go ahead and show people how to copy the reports and register the reports outside of this. I'm going to go ahead and close that. Ron, do you have another question for us?
Yes. As far as reports go, how can you, if you, for instance, run that one that you had, go up to custom report, and the one that you gave me about for sale for a sales report, it's min max. There it is. Items sold on hand 00 min max. About halfway down. Right? No, up a little.
There it is.
Items sold. Yeah. Now that was, if I remember right, that was one that you said that we would use for buyers to get a report. To make an order. Now go over to run. Okay, so here's where we can filter, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so, and Holly, this would be good for you to as well. So go to vendor code and bring up, well, I guess bring up anyone particular. Although here, I ran into some issues when I was running it before. Run Big Rock Corp.
Big Rock?
Big Rock, yeah. There it is, big RO. Okay. And DCS of SPO.
All right, SBO, Frank?
Yeah.
Frank BO? All right.
No, SPO, sport. Very good.
Okay, sorry. I was way off.
Okay,
You want me to
and no, then click OK.
All right, yeah, so it's going to run it.
Okay. Now, what we ran that several times, and then now, so I guess you close this. Is there a way to get back to that filter without really closing the report? I don't think there is.
Yeah, we will have to go ahead and close it, but when we go ahead and hit run, it'll save our last run.
Okay, so go to the bottom.
Come over here and hit last run over here if you've exited. Want to move on down?
Go down to the bottom and hit active item, and then select yes.
Okay.
Now, what we found was that if those are unselected, you're not going to get anything. But if you select active, then you'll get stuff.
Yeah, and so for this particular one, that means we must have lost that permanent filter. There are a few of these reports, depending on the programmer who created the actual package, that you do have to, in the filter, select, whether it's active or inactive. And like I said, occasionally I've seen those things kind of hiccup, and this is one of those times. So in that time, we need to go ahead and come over here down at filters, and remember the filter down here is our permanent filter. So that means you don't have to edit this at runtime. And actually, let's come back over here, criteria. And so over here, active, you do want to select yes, because normally if you leave it unselected, if this is just open, it should give you both active and inactive. And so for a lot of times reporting, people want to see both active and inactive, especially if we're looking at historical reports. So that's why, not checking it is usually okay. It usually means that we can go ahead and see everything. Like I said, certain packages, though, you have to go ahead and make that selection. You have to come in here and select both / select your active. Okay. And so if this is a report, especially if this is more of a buying report, again, we're looking in the future, we're looking in the past recently, we're not really looking for historical information. So I would say, yeah, we can leave it just with our active and hit OK and save it there. All right. And now our filter has been changed. So if we come on back to reports, again, once we drop into filters, we come back to reports, it leaves us at the root of our reports directory. And we're going to come back over here. Got to find it again.
Yeah, min-mac, there you go.
Yeah, and so now if we go ahead and hit run, you see nothing else is selected except for, come on down here, our active items.
Good.
And that's going to be a permanent filter for you guys.
That's good. Okay, that helps.
Yeah, I've see. That, yeah.
Can we run a report with more than one vendor?
Yes, you can. Even this particular report or our worst items by vendor. If we go ahead and hit run here, and again we select that vendor code, and I'm just going to hit this one and this one, hit OK, and you'll see here now it says selection.
Right.
And over here and run. And depending on the report, it might not group by the vendor, just so you know. Like this particular one does not break it apart into different sections, but up here we can see we're filtering, so we are showing the results for both this vendor and this vendor. If we do have a report that says vendor in the title, chances are that's going to be broken down individually by vendor when you add multiple vendors to it.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so yes, we can do that. Now, okay, so after we run a report and we didn't get the right filters, then we close that report and then open up, do run again, and it will show that same report. We just have to add or change the filters.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. If you're looking at it and you didn't get it quite right, like right now we're still on this report, we didn't get it quite right, we can go ahead and run one more time and see, this still has that selection. We would have to clear it if we actually wanted to clear it or make the changes. The other option is this last run button, but that one kind of bypasses everything, and we'll just kind of do it again.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Last run's a little bit more for if we, accidentally closed out and I still needed that. Let's run it again.
Okay. I think that's the questions that I have with reports so far. Anybody else?
I would say just bring up what you think is your basic couple of, sales reports that people will use for ordering.
You said sales reports?
Yeah.
Okay, when you say sales, are you looking at like historical, or are you wanting just like a summary of the day? Like, are you looking for like daily reports that people normally run?
Yeah, I guess maybe daily reports, but for me, the reports, when I know I want to order something, I'll bring up a report that says received, sold, and what's in inventory currently, and it's usually by the vendor.
So like the SRO?
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say either that SRO or like the reports that I sent you guys in that Excel list. Have you got a chance to take a look at that yet, Holly?
No. When did you send those? A while ago?
Maybe about a week ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say a week ago.
I'll have to look back.
Yeah. Let me see. I think I have it.
I can just look up the notes I got from you and find it.
Yeah, I don't have it in this folder that I have for you. I just have the other things I'm supposed to give you guys.
Okay, so look at that then.
But I was going to point you in kind of the same direction as that. Besides our SRO, and up here, Ron kind of already pointed out that min-max report we were looking at. The other one is our by style, our on-hand, sold, received. This one has been really, really helpful for a lot of people. I actually really, really like this one, and I love the fact that it is broken down by style. And so for this particular one, I'm actually going to go ahead and run that last. Actually, we can run this one. It doesn't take too long. But this one, this would be one of those reports that you would filter to by vendor or by department, and not your entire inventory. But it gives you multiple date ranges to work with. So especially if you're ordering, pre-holiday season, or you're right in the middle of like what is normally a busy season for you guys, or anything like that, you can run this for different date ranges. Okay. So we can go ahead and see that on-hand quantity, or what quantity we received and what quantity we sold in our given date ranges. So this one's extremely helpful. The other one I wanted to point out to you, and so again, that one's going to be our item by style, on-hand, received, and sold. And actually, while I'm kind of here, I'm going to go ahead and make a quick edit of this, and I'm going to drop this from our custom into our other directory. And I'm going to hit save. And I can move it back, but I just wanted to show you guys how easy it is to kind of separate out the reports that you like and you want to go ahead and keep separate. And so instead of having to go through that entire custom list, if we know that this is something we're going to, start using actively, we can move it down to the other, rename it, Quimper, whatever you want to do. That's kind of the quick and easy way without having to re-register the report. Because you can't always make copies and register the report. We went through that, but this is kind of the fast way to do it. But again, that means you're not going to have a backup. That has been removed from our custom section.
Okay, and did you just drag it? I'm sorry, I was writing when you did that.
No problem. All I did was I jumped onto the report, and then over here I hit edit, and then I changed our report type from custom to other, and that's all you got to do.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and cancel that for right now. The other one I wanted to show you is, this was something that people like to run a lot. It's more for returns, but it really does help them keep an eye on their departments / their vendors and kind of see what they're, from a customer standpoint, what's being returned and, where we might want to pull back on ordering. The other one is going to be, actually, I don't know if I sent this one to you guys, but this has been really helpful for people, our DCS department percent of sales. So this will go show you guys, especially, if this is something that you want to run every day. Your XZOut actually does the same. It shows you your penetration, and that's what this does. So if we go ahead and run this for, let's just say, And we have a long date and a short date on this, so that means we have also date and time. So let's just do it for a week to date. So it shows you all of your departments, of what was sold within those departments, and like what percentage of your overall sales those departments were. So again, that's just kind of a little bit more on like for sales and just a daily like checkup on what your store is doing.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that Excel sheet is going to be the one that has a little bit more of the buying stuff, and I can pull that up too.
You did send that to us, and also a couple above that is DCS by store. You also mentioned that one.
Yes, yeah, and let me see. So let me unpause the screen. And so unfortunately, Holly, yeah, Holly can't see this right now. I'm sorry, Holly. I'm showing this from my remote desktop, but this is the actual Excel sheet that I'm talking about. I'm just going to copy and paste this. And Holly, can you go ahead and open up an Excel sheet that we can use on your screen?
Yeah.
All right, everybody should be able to see Holly's screen one more time.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now let's see if it'll drag over. I'm trying to just copy and paste it from like 3 different computers right now. So don't laugh if it doesn't work.
We promise.
Let's try again.
I think we got a Excel sheet over here, maybe.
That's one that's in my.
Oh, that's what you're already working on.
Yeah. I don't know why it's not bringing up a blank.
Well, let me see. I'll pause the screen. If we can open up the Excel sheet so you're not broadcasting out to everybody anymore. Open up the Excel sheet that you're working on, and then we'll just hit new document from within Excel.
Oh, okay. Actually, I don't go from
over here to file.
Oh.
Okay, yep, and there went all of them.
All the other ones came up. All right.
Yeah, all right, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna start sharing your screen out again.
Whoa, maybe too big.
And let me see, I'm gonna go ahead and take controls for a second while I try to paste this in here. All right, hey, it worked.
All right.
All right, so there we go. So here are those reports and kind of notes that I put in. So specifically, like over here at the top in yellow are going to be reports that I got from you guys for your QuickBooks reports. All your QuickBooks reports look like they were, you know, pretty standard to QuickBooks. So we had something kind of already that would fit the mold pretty well. Besides that, over here, the inventory turn and filtered by date, that is something that is available to you in your statistics tab, and that we can export out to Excel, and that's going to go ahead and give you all of those beautiful numbers, your turn by quantity, your gross return on investment, stock to sales, all of that. So I wanted to kind of make sure that we remembered what statistics are and where to get them.
Okay.
Anybody remember where statistics live?
Nope.
I'm trying to think. Is it one of those bottom tabs you said?
Yeah, it's actually, that's a great guess because it is a page within here, but it lives in a few different places. Statistics, the math itself is housed in our delta. That's why it's so important that our delta gets updated every day. Besides that, like I said, our statistics are available at the department level, at the vendor level, and on customers. I know you guys won't be using the customer ones too often, but at that department level, it's going to be extremely helpful. They are also available at the item level, but I would say that's going to be less used because you would have to go to that particular style or item and, you know, run it for each one. But if we come on over here to our merchandise, jump into vendors, and just, you know, I'm just going to pick a vendor at random here, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit that profile tab. And so here's where those statistics live in the pop-up window. Alternatively, we can jump into our form view, and we do have that statistics tab. So I'm saying you're on the money for that one. It is one of the tabs just within the form view of our department, our vendors, or our items.
Okay, cool.
And we can go ahead and select the date range up here, and then we would just go ahead and hit run. Let's go ahead and actually give this a quick one. All right, and so if you don't see anything populate over here, then that just means we're not showing it. So again, we're going to right click and go ahead and get that information on there. And for this particular vendor, we didn't have much data to display on that one. But you know, as you go forward, you'll have much more information and data. And this is something that you can go ahead and right click and export, send to Excel, wherever you want.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, and then besides that, so I'll leave this for you guys. Like I said, I'm going to drop on in these two reports. You can spend a little time talking about them. But the restock report is the one that you guys first got to see it when we were on that training with Luann. And then the Quimper Mercantile M2 report, this is going to be that pretty standard report. I think, Holly, you were the one that sent it to me from your QuickBooks, and this is kind of like an all-in-one. And then these are the other ones that I also kind of noted that people might enjoy seeing. The aging report is going to be more helpful to you guys in about 6 months or in about 90 days when you just get that information in there. But besides that, it is a really amazing report. Jeff spent a lot of time working on it and kind of perfecting them. And those are all the way up here. And so we have 6 months, and we have them in the 90 days breakout as well. And there I have the option of department, vendor, style, or item level. There's a lot to go on. And I think I did kind of point this one out too, but that best worst items by vendor, that one has been extremely helpful for buyers and just people overall, because they know what's selling, what do I need to order more of from this particular vendor, and what should I consider not ordering anymore because it's just not moving off my shelf.
Liz, what does the DT stand for there?
The DT stands for data type. So anything that has the DT on it is going to have multiple data types. So that's when you're going to see your on-hand and sales, your sales for this year and last year, you know, just multiple things. Whereas the other ones are going to be kind of more specific to a certain area. Like on our merchandise, you see we have on-hand or sales. The DT is on-hand and sales.
Okay.
All right. And so do we have any other questions? I think I might go ahead and take, if you guys are thinking about them, I might take a second to try to drop these in really quick. And I'll remind you guys how to register a report.
Okay.
I think I'm going to have to at least check in with my rep who's waiting here. So I'll just leave my computer as is, I guess, so you guys can still use it.
Yeah, is that okay with you? Would you prefer me to get dialed into another machine? I can just kind of pause our I can kind of pause our recording for the moment.
No, go ahead and use it. If I get stuck, I can probably go to a different computer. I was working with some inventory information with this rep, but I think we'll be okay.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks for letting us hijack your computer for a little bit. You know, feel free to go ahead and do whatever you need to do. And like I said, if anybody else has any questions, I will pause the recording for just a moment while I kind of flitter around and try to get this report registered for you guys. At least actually, this is going to be good for you guys to see. Let me just get it onto your machine.
Cool.
Just the one. The copying worked last time, so I'm hoping it does this time too. All right. There's our server.
Yeah, I got a few of them answered so far. And I have a zero balance.
Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and register this report now. So if anybody doesn't remember how to do that, perfect. We have a little bit of a reminder. And like I said, if you guys have any questions at all, please let me know.
I can't see you doing anything there. I'm still on the merchandise report. Oh,
all right,
there we go.
Can you see the screen now? Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. So all I did so far was I took the RPT file that I wanted to drop in for you guys, and I pasted it here under our reports in Retail Pro 9 under Other. So I just need to know where to find it. So this is the one I'm looking for. And then this is, like I said, I'm going to kind of title this very generically. You guys can always go ahead and, I don't know if I misspelled that. But you guys can always go ahead and edit the title, edit the report type, and the only thing you can't edit is the report path. Otherwise, it won't be able to find the report that you're talking about. And just make sure this was it. V2. Yep. All right, so we'll just navigate to the report in question. We're going to go ahead and hit open. This, actually, it was pretty fast on your guys' system. I love it. But sometimes it can hang up. And if it is hanging up just a bit, all you want to do is hover over the reports tab. For whatever reason, it makes it speed up quite a bit. And so when we're registering a report, all we're really focusing in is our lookup type. Other than that, the and, or, the numeric, any of the date ranges, those don't matter. But if it says lookup, that means Retail Pro needs you to map what it actually needs to be looking for. Because again, our parameters are built by, or they're named by whomever made the package. And so they can really call it whatever they want. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and just go through and add them in. And so unfortunately, again, this list is not alphabetical or anything like that. The lookup list is kind of as is, so you do have to kind of start typing out. Oh, that's actually tax code. There we go. Does anybody remember the difference between the tax area and a tax code?
No.
No.
So a tax code is assigned to an item. So it's given a tax code, taxable or exempt or luxury, you know, whatever the item actually is. Whereas a tax area is where we set up like our tax rate. So our tax area would be California or, you know, Seattle or whatever. And then the tax code would be whether or not it's taxable or not. All right, active is always is active. All right, so these UDFs, they're really a pain in the butt. The nice thing is if we hit X, it drops us where we were last. And so it's a little bit easier because there is nothing that starts with an X, so it doesn't know where to drop you, so it just drops you wherever you were. All right.
So what are you down arrowing and then hitting the X key?
Yep. All I'm doing, down arrow and then hitting enter. I'm right arrowing actually. I'm right arrowing over to the none where it says lookup, and I'm typing over that with the X, and that's what's dropping me into that last spot. For that one, I really didn't need that. What I needed was something different entirely, but
okay.
That's the idea. And then the rest of that. And the nice thing about this particular report is that I'm listing all of these parameters. That means this report can do a lot. So if there's something that you wanted added to the report, chances are it's something that's easy to add, you know, just based on how many parameters we have to set up. Usually those things that have like only a few parameters, what's on the report is probably, you know, what's available within that package. And that's, you know, if you guys were thinking about getting crystal reports or anything like that, I know that we didn't, you know, take a look at it too much or anything like that, but I can show you that today if you guys are interested. So now that we've dealt with all of our lookup items, we can just hit save. It will yell at you if you try to save before you hit all those lookup fields. All right, we're gonna hit no, we don't need to register another report. I'm just gonna run this. And let's see, I'll run it open for right now. We'll see how long it takes to do open completely. All right, yeah, so not too long. But this is just our, you know, a pretty basic on-hand report. It also has a sales quantity for that date range. So we can go ahead, so it's, you know, technically this is a data type or multi-data type. So we can change that title to kind of reflect that. But this, like I said, kind of covered a few of the reports that I saw in there. So it's kind of a lot to look at, but overall pretty helpful in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. But if there's something that you guys, what happened?
Is this sorted by vendor?
Looks like we're sorting by vendor. I can double check that RPT though.
And
so this is actually on my system here, but you guys should be able to see the crystal reports now, right? The blue background?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Report, Google Sort Expert. Yeah, we're sorting by vendor.
So go back to that report. It looked like, I mean, I think there's more, according to this, you know, the fourth one down, Big Rock, the coho herring, I don't know, what does that mean? Tell me what those lines mean, because, I mean, we obviously have more things from Big Rock than just one item.
Yeah, what it might be is I probably need to suppress this. So let's see what this is. Oh, this is built on last 30 days is what it is. Let's see. What's this thing by vendor? That's why. Okay, well, this particular report is probably going to work a little bit more as is. As is works a little bit better as a summary report. That's why it's only taking that first description in ALU, whatever it finds. It's grouping by vendor. So I can go ahead and change that grouping. I didn't even realize that I had done that. I apologize. But I'll go ahead and edit that for you guys. So would it be more helpful to have an actual item level detail in this, or as a summary, or both?
Well, I'm not sure what we're looking at here. Can you, Casey, figure this out?
Like what the goal of the report is? Or is that what you're asking?
Well, yeah.
Or how it's sorted, I guess. And this is on hand for what date range? Let's see here. Report 7.
Yeah, we ran this really open. That's why it's even, you know, going to be confusing. But if we go ahead and give this a specific date range, so let's just go ahead and come in here to run. So what it is that it's grouping by vendor and giving you the total for the vendor, but it's showing you whatever first item and attribute and size found from that vendor. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I made that mistake. I grouped it by vendor, but put item level detail.
Oh, okay.
I got it.
And so I can go ahead and give you both. I can give you that vendor level summary. I can go ahead and give you that full item breakdown.
Yeah, do both.
Which one would be both? Okay.
I mean, do two reports.
Yeah. The one as more of a summary. So what it's going to look like essentially, just a little bit, you know, more information, a few more columns, but it's going to be our on-hand sales by vendor. If I run this right here, I just run that open. All right, there you go. You see how this has no item level detail, but it's still that
Right.
same vendor on hand sales. So that is essentially what the report is going to be in that regard. So our on hand by vendor, and then our on hand sales by, say, DCS. So we're to run this one. This might take a little bit longer, but you see this is just broken down in that exact same way by DCS instead of by item.
Oh, okay.
So really, I think I'll get you guys the item level detail with on hand, and then you can filter for specific items. If it makes more sense for you to have the vendor, the department, or the full DCS, then we can go ahead and work with what we have here.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
But like would it be helpful to have on hand sales by item?
I mean,
What do you
that's well, I actually haven't been running reports much because it's, Tammy, Holly that are running the sales reports, and Julian, and then, you guys are running the reports that you need for receiving. So I haven't really had much use yet to run that type, I guess, if that makes sense.
I think having that one on hand sales by vendor
right
is a good one. We should move that over to other.
Okay.
And
all right. Let me go ahead and edit this. I'm gonna leave it as Big Hairy Dog until we've edited it to actually be something specifically for Quimper. So for right now, we'll go ahead and change this to other. We'll save.
So can the report only be in one category if right now it's not in the custom? Is that right?
So right now it's all in the custom. Yeah, it's been removed from our custom. But it is, in order to go ahead and keep it in the custom, but have your own version of it, it's super easy. And we're essentially just all you have to do is be willing to sit here and register it.
Oh, okay. Just make a duplicate of it, basically.
Yeah. So all we got to do is we see here the report path. I'm going to open this up a little bit. But out of the box, it's always too small. All right, I'm just opening that up so we can see the full RPT file name. And so here we go. Over here, it tells you where it starts. So in custom, and this is the RPT file.
Okay.
So then what we would do is under V9 reports, we would go to custom, find that RPT file. This is the M2 on hand. M2 on hand, and this one's by DCS. And see, this is the one that's by vendor. So now we've gone ahead and we're going to grab this guy. We're just going to make a quick copy. So I use my keyboard shortcut, but just so we can all see it, I'm going to use the right click and copy. We're going to come back up to reports, come over here to the other, and we're going to just drop it right in. I'm going to paste it into our other. And here we go. Now that it's here, I can come over here and add a quick Quimper Merc. So there we go. And so now we're going to do the same thing that I originally did when, I brought over that first one. You just want to be in the directory you want to drop the new report into. You want to be on a report. We're going to go ahead and hit register report. You can give it a name, whatever you want, and then on hand sales by DCS. It's automatically going to be in the other report type. And then we're going to, on our report path, we just navigate to that copy that we made.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and now we just re-register it. And once we register it, that on-hand sales by DCS is still in the custom. We just have a copy of it as well over here in our other.
Cool.
And so would the DCS one also be helpful, Ron? Not so much?
I think by item.
Right, because the department would be more like maybe Holly might look at that if you're trying to look at an overall view of how all the departments are doing. But
All right, so I'm just going to cancel out of this one then. So if we don't, or do you think if Holly might find this useful, then we can go ahead and separate it out here unless someone else wants to practice doing it later?
I think
No,
Go.
go ahead.
No, you're good.
Well, I think we should save this and then, register this, and then we'll do the next one. And so how do we know what to put in here when we register it?
A great question. And so I kind of skip over it because I'm still working on remembering. But this is right here. This one's mine. This is my reports module really quick. So I'm just doing this. So let's see. We're looking for this guy right here by our DCS. And so what I do normally is I just hit that Windows key and grab my snipping tool. My snipping tool is my absolute best friend. And you just grab the parameters from the original report. That is the beautiful thing about just copying one of the reports that we already have in V9. We tell you what the parameters are. You just got to remember to take that snapshot before you start registering the report.
Okay, cool.
All right, but now we're back in here. And like I said, sometimes I move a little too quickly. All right, but let's get this all set up. And you see, this is actually the same thing that we registered earlier because it's based off of the same package. All of those reports are all based off of the same package. That's how I know that we can get to that item level detail.
Okay.
It's all none. All right. And do we have any other reports, questions, or anything else that you guys wanted to go ahead and kind of go over while we're still in this section?
I think that answers my question.
Do you have any more general questions for Retail Pro?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we can go ahead and get some of those answered as well. All right, because I know that we got another appointment on the books as well, right? Let me see.
Yes.
Next Friday, right?
Yep.
I believe so. Next Friday.
3 to 5, I think.
Yep,
Yes.
3 to 5. Okay, perfect. So I always want to make sure. So did you guys want me to go ahead and get that report fixed up right now, or would it be okay if I dropped it in at the beginning of our next training?
You can do it next time.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. I just want to kind of make sure that we have enough time to answer all of the questions, but I don't want to leave you hanging if you needed this report.
Yeah, no, we'll be just.
Okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead and come over here, and I'm going to unregister this particular report. Oh, actually, yeah, no, I'll unregister it. It'll be good to get a chance to look at how to register a report one more time. Because what you can do is once it's already registered, you can edit the RPT in Crystal Reports and just drop it right on top. You'll get a little pop-up that's like, hey, you have a newer version of this. Do you want to use the new version? And we would hit OK. But like I said, I feel like it'd be good to give us another chance to take a look at how to register a report. So I'll go ahead and just unregister this.
Okay.
All right, and there we go. So now we have at least a few reports separated over here. And like I said, you guys can feel free to move any of the top ones. It does keep an RPT file in that original one, or in that original section here in the Windows section of it, so outside of Retail Pro. So if we come on over here to our custom, that big hairy dog, it was like M2 by vendor. Yeah, you see that's still there. So we could re-register this and give it back to you guys in the custom. So you don't have to worry about, making too bad of a mistake, there's always like a little bit of a backup for you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, but let's go ahead and jump back into Retail Pro, and Ron, hit us with that next question.
Okay, go to inventory. And we're in list view, right? Okay,
Mhm.
I want to go all the way to the bottom. How do you do that? If you click on one item, that scroll button goes to the middle, but we can't grab it and take it all the way to the bottom. Can you?
Are you looking for something specific at the bottom, or
no?
I
know that I need to get down to the bottom. So grab that button, the scroll button, and take it down. See, it won't go. It'll go, but it pops back up.
Well,
Why is
it'll go. You have to hold it down in order just to scroll down and just go all of the way. That's why. What are you looking for? Because we are moving. We're going down right now.
I'm trying to rapidly. I mean, we've got a lot of items. In order to get to the bottom, I want to be able to drag that button all the way to the bottom and get there, but it won't let me do it. See, it just goes like.
Because it's scrolling down now. If you hold it down over here, it's going as fast as it can. But you do have a lot of items. That's why it's taking time.
Well, all right.
But why are you trying to get to the bottom of the list, though?
Why do I want to get to the bottom of the list? Because, for instance, if I'm looking for all of the items, the ALUs that start with 3000, it's going to take a while to get down there.
Oh, okay. We can sort in the opposite direction. And now this is the bottom of our list.
Right.
From the top.
All right. I just was questioning why the button wouldn't let us scroll all the way down when in other places it will let us do that.
Yeah, it's just in the inventory list view, you just have so many items that as you're trying to go down, like you just can't load it fast enough to make you go all the way down to the beginning, so it drops to the lowest one.
Right. If you had filtered the list in some way to make the amount of items smaller, it would make it easier, though, theoretically.
Yeah. And so if we were to like clear all of this, and you guys have off the top of your head just like a small vendor, I guess we can just pick one of these guys and kind of see what comes up and run that. Oh, we actually have no items in there. There's the bottom of our list. But we go ahead and go modify. Let's do someone else. So yeah, and then in that case, in that way you can see this, the scroll bar, quote unquote, works. I mean, for this one we can see the bottom, but that's kind of why it's happening. You just have so many items that you're trying to hit the bottom, and it's just going to the lowest point that it can, and you have to keep scrolling and scrolling.
Right.
All right, that answers my question. So let's go to create a new item. All right, pick any DCS code, any vendor.
Got it.
And just put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shirt.
Enthusiastic thing.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Now, one of my questions is, if we run a style view assortment now, will we have to come in and put the order cost and the price in on each item later? So is it better to put the order cost and price in now?
So if you want to build, if you're building a style, ultimate goal here is this is going to end up being a style, right?
Right.
Yep. So
we want to put as much information in here first prior to
Yes.
assigning the sizes and attributes.
Yes, if you're doing it this way. If you're doing it this way, then you actually do want to put a size, an attribute, order cost, everything like that, because right now we were in item view when we hit that new item. So Retail Pro thinks that we are making a single item, not a whole group of items. It is, pretty easy. If that happens, that's totally fine. Let's say that we do want to go ahead and want to create that. We would want to assign a size and an attribute that is within what we are actually hoping to build. So if we're ordering, red, blue, and white, size S through M, then this first item, we would just want to make it one of the sizes S through M, and then one red, blue, or white. And that way it'll easily be a member of the style, and you won't have one of those, you won't have to delete an item that has a 0 or a blank for size and attribute.
Okay. So
in order to jump into style view from here, we have to save this particular item. But if I cancel out, and instead of creating a new item here in my list view or in my form view, if I jump into style view first, and then I hit new, that's when this might look a little bit more familiar. This is the form view for our style. So we would enter our DCS, our vendor, our description 1 and 2, and then down here, we would enter the sizes and attributes. So we can go ahead and either pick a scale, or we can build a scale using that edit attribute size.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't gotten there. I was creating new from the list view, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And like I said, some people like to do that. You would just, like you said, you would want to fill out as much information as you could, and then jump into style view. And that would include attribute and size, but usually a little bit easier to go ahead and kind of right off the bat jump into our style view here, and then add all of that descriptive information.
And then also, if you start by making a singular item, you have to be very careful about all your details being correct, because then they would be off if they're all in a style later, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, yeah. So like let's, for example, here, you see this size 2XS all the way to XL. If we created an item in item view that was triple S, you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
And it didn't exist within this grid, it would just kind of hang off on the side. So it would be fine. We would be able to order by it too, but it would just kind of look a little awkward in the grid. Is really the worst that would happen.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead and put the red, green, and blue in as attributes.
Yeah. Perfect. So since it does not exist within our scale, which is fine, I honestly, I think that's great, because then we can go ahead and come over here to edit attribute size, and we can just make this whatever it is. So it's going to be blue, red, and I think white is what I said. I'm still feeling pretty patriotic.
Now wait. Okay. Why is the asterisk still there?
The asterisk is there because it's not part of this scale. This is something that we added essentially on the fly.
Yeah, we free-formed it.
Mm-hmm.
But the right below the ATTR, there's a square that has an asterisk in it by itself.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That's going to create an item, but it won't have an attribute.
It will not create an item unless we put a number in there, a 0. So if I wanted to go ahead and, that's actually, I'm really glad you brought that up. That is something that we try to remind people to avoid that asterisk, avoid the blank area, because it will build. The only reason why that's there is because in our scale, we have no defined attributes. And if I went ahead and took these off originally and flipped to a new scale, you'd see that it just has an asterisk if there's nothing there. So if we flip over to that one, you see? So it's technically part of this scale, having that no attribute.
So right now, click on Edit Attribute Size.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you put something in where the asterisk is? Go up there and edit that and
you can.
Clear that. Okay.
You can.
Okay, so go ahead and add white and blue.
All right.
And blue.
Or blues is the first one.
Yeah.
Red. Sorry.
Yeah, you got it.
All right. Okay, now hit OK. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to put the quantity under small, medium, large, extra large, double extra large. Put 1 in each one of those.
If we put a 1 in right now we're not on a PO. So if we put a 1, then it's going to create inventory on hand.
All right, so we put a 0 in
there then? 0, yes, unless we're on a PO. If we're on a PO, go nuts. You can put your order quantity there, and it would write that back to our document. But again, because we're in the inventory, though, we want to make sure that we're using zeros. And if we go ahead and enter it in this order, it will show up in our list view as blue small, blue medium, blue large, blue XL. If I were to start jumping around, it would go ahead and show up, in whatever order that we entered it in.
Well, that's my question. When we were doing it in a purchase order, creating a new item in a purchase order, and I was very careful to go across from top left to top right, then down to the middle, left to right, bottom left to right, and it did not assign the item number, the ALU, in that order. It was random.
It was random?
Go ahead and finish this, put zeros in all there, and then we'll go look at the list view again and see. But
all right, there we go.
We were doing it in the PO.
Right. So I think we tried.
And that's fine. We can go ahead and we'll save it here, and we can test drive it in a PO as well. And I'm not going to, put in order or cost prices fake item. I'm going to go ahead and say okay.
Blue, white, and red.
All right, hang on. Let's see, maybe we have to go ahead and put something on here. Residence and change binary user. Okay. I think we might have a little bit of an access error going on here. All right. Let's go ahead and exit out of Retail Pro. I can rebuild that pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, it might be better if we just rebuild that in a PO, just so I can go ahead and see what you guys saw. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
She's recording it so we can watch it later.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that would be a good idea. Just in case we forget, we can go back and refresh. Those headers.
I had it already. That's the thing I have to. You're saying, well, we might, it might get through.
Yes, remember all. I want to see this.
I just want to see if it ended up making that.
So you're gonna, okay, yeah.
Create a new purchase order and give it a random vendor code. All right, we're going to jump into our choose edit items. And I'm going to jump into style view from our choose edit. And then from here, I will hit new. Give me the DCS code. Vendor code. Oh, I don't remember what vendor code we were using.
Still Columbia.
Well, it was when we input stuff on, so it has to be the specific one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let me cancel out of here and actually pay attention to what I'm doing. Cancel selection. Cancel selection. Vendor code. So let's use a real vendor code. Actually, no, we're going to build items. This is perfect. Choose edit items one more time. Style view. And hit new. Now we can pick a random DCS code. And use vendor code. There it is. All right. We're going to throw on a scale.
do just do small to extra large. Yeah, okay.
Oh, excuse me.
Right here. Well, she's in a different.
I know, that's what we're screwing up.
No, I don't think so. You can do it either way.
Right, yeah.
All right. Goodness. Okay.
All right, so we're going blue, red, and white.
Yep.
Okay.
So we can go ahead and hit save. And yep, it's going to be manually. All right, now I'm going to hit OK on this. I'm going to hit OK on that one. And so these guys here, so now that these are on our POs. And so I can go ahead and hit save on this particular PO and we'll go check out our.
But look, the ALUs.
Yeah.
Do the sort the ALUs from low to high.
Yeah.
It
So it looks like we were not able to replicate that.
No, we were creating the new item from a purchase order, but starting at new.
Yeah, so that might have been it. It might have been the thing to kind of throw us off a little bit. So if we go into choose edit items and then we just hit new, this will get assigned an ALU, whatever we save it as. It's getting saved before everybody else. So that automatically is going to be in the wrong order.
Oh.
that's why.
So we need to go from list view, then we hit style view.
Yep. Instead of that new, we're gonna hold ourselves back a little bit, jump into style view, and then hit new.
Okay. That answers that question. Okay, when we're creating a new item, a single item, how do we assign a gender to that item?
Where are you recording gender normally?
Well, in QuickBooks, there's a specific window for it. And when I was looking at it, I think it was user-defined field aux1. Okay, so here down on the right, about middle of the thing, gender, right there.
Yeah, right here under more info, gender, season. So yeah, it looks like we do have a user-defined field for this.
And
oh, do you know what user defined field you're already using?
well, when we were looking in Retail Pro, if you go to new items, Aux1, that has genders in it, but it also has some other stuff. Hit there. So it has genders, but it also has departments and other things, seasons.
Got it. So the same over here.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it's trying to map over the auxiliary information, but it doesn't know where. Season is the only thing that we put in, and year is the only thing that we put in. All right. Do you know an item in your inventory that should have gender information?
Well, most of the Columbia products should be sorted by gender.
COL? COLC?
Yeah. I think it's COLUN.
Online. Oh, well, let's see. Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make a new item still.
Yeah.
All right. So, like, this should have a gender.
Well, let's see. Let's go. Yeah, go back. Go to the back beauty, down below. Yeah, there.
Okay.
And that should be women. Oh, see, it is.
It should be. Got it. Okay. Oh, I didn't need that help. All right. So under system preferences. Remember, system preferences is where we get to go ahead and name all of those auxiliary fields. So if I come down to my merchandise, user defined / auxiliary, we can go ahead and be sure to filter or sort by field number. Let me see, and then that was our user defined field. I'm going to come on down all the way to, oh, there's the next one. I wasn't looking at it. And so we put in gender. The only thing is it does have a lot of information, so that means that there are items within our inventory or possibly within our history that has used that particular column for other things.
Yeah.
So this is just going to have, we can come in here, we can inactivate everything or delete it if it's not, I mean, we're not going to have history, so this is going to be a great time to be able to do that. Because we can't delete it if this has been used on a historical document, but if you come in here and hit delete record, it's just the AU. Actually, yeah, so it looks like we have an inventory item that for whatever reason is using that value.
Yeah.
And so I would say we have to go ahead and take a look at our inventory and kind of see if that is supposed to be gender only. We have to find these items and remove this from that item, make it to our gender, but we can inactivate it moving forward. So that way nobody can choose that. If this is going to be gender, then we want to make sure that only, what we define as selectable is in here. But other than that, people can still free form type.
Right. So there's no way that we can go in right now and make it just men's, women's, adult, unisex, young boy, young girl.
It would be, if you wanted to make that fix before we, went live, then in our QuickBooks data, we either have to go ahead and go in there and see, maybe if we can filter by that UDF, filter for it, filter for all items who have that populated, and see what else is being used, change whatever it's being used to. Like if you find the item that has the AU and we change it to, men, women, or we leave it blank, And then when it comes over, you won't have all these other options. It's just showing you what's already in that field.
Right.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, the answer is if we want to clean it up right now, we have to clean up our inventory in QuickBooks. If we do want to deal with it later, which, it might be easier, it depends on how you look at it. If you want to clean it up later, then we can go ahead and filter and search for it and deal with it in V9.
Yeah. It sounds like an awful lot of work.
Yeah. I mean, we could, like I said, with QuickBooks, filtering for it and dealing with all of it, I would say I'm not as familiar with how long that might take. But even here, we would just go ahead and in our filtered view, all we have to do is add auxiliary 1. Do you already have auxiliary 1? Oh, it's gender now. My bad. It is now gender. Come back to criteria. And we can select all. Okay. And we will include. Let me see. Modify. Did I not clear it all? Oh. And that's why we clear all before we do anything.
Yeah.
I like to lead by bad examples. And so these are all of the items that have that particular field populated at the moment. And so we can take this, select all, export to Excel. And this will at least tell us how many records it is. I didn't think it was that much, but it looks like it is quite a few records.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do we have any other questions that we want to hit before we go? Just cancel this and stop it.
Yeah, you can cancel that.
We'll cancel that for right now. All right. So it is quite a few records, but getting it out of Retail Pro 9 is pretty quick, pretty easy. Well, we didn't let it finish, but it's pretty easy to start. I don't know how easy that would also be in QuickBooks.
Okay. Let's just wait and we'll do it going forward.
Okay. So yeah, any other questions we want to hit?
No, when we open up a new field, the cursor oftentimes doesn't default to the first window. Is there a way to do that?
What do you mean?
So go to Retail Pro and click inventory, for instance.
Yeah, all right. So let me actually cancel the filter. We'll just jump right back on into inventory.
So the cursor is nowhere right now. So you have to click in a window. And so, for instance, if you wanted to do new, I would want the cursor to go to the first window right off the bat.
Do you want it to be on, like on active or on ALU?
Whatever the first window is, it pops. Okay, it is. It is there. That example. But okay, go to new sales receipt.
Okay.
Again, the cursor's nowhere. It would be if
the cursor is on lookup. That's why it was blue.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we start this and we start a new one.
If we just come into the new and start scanning, it would go there.
Yeah. So this is like, yeah, I mean, I didn't touch anything with my mouse. All I did was start using my keyboard, and it started filling in the lookup. That's supposed to be like ready to scan, ready to go. Okay. But yeah, that's actually a great question though. That's tab order. So if we go ahead and cancel it.
That's my next question. Tab order.
Yeah, so we go in our interface page designer right here, and this is right on the end is the field. Right next to it is where we can set the tab order. And so without being highlighted on anything, this is just our tab order for, actually, I think we're looking at something specific. Let's do our tab order for the page. And that's our tab order for the page. We're just looking at the bottom. So this is our tab order for the whole page. It starts at items, so that's within this items box. And then if we are highlighted on our item box, we check that tab order again. Because actually, it looks like it's the same exact thing. So it'll automatically start, if you're highlighted here, it's the tab order. It looks like for tab order within the box, it's going to start at the lookup no matter what. So I won't be able to change that. Go ahead and move this again. Move it out of the way. But for the page, it's you know, here. For whatever reason, it keeps scrolling all the way to the bottom, but it stops at our item box and then it goes over to discount, fee names, makes our way down. And you know, for this, I'm sure you guys remember, we just double click it to get it above the line, and we can move it up and down just by dragging it, or we can use the little arrows. And also highlight on customer information.
Yeah.
And get the tab order for our customer information box.
Okay. So close this. And don't do a create a new item.
You said create a new item?
Yeah. Okay. So tab down, and it skips a few boxes there. It goes to description 2 after vendor code, and then it goes down to cost. So how do you change the order there?
The same exact way.
Oh, so in a new item, when I was trying to create a new item, I don't think I could get to the tab order.
You cannot get to any of the page designer, page manager stuff when you are actively editing and adding to the database. You are correct.
That's what I was doing wrong. So I need to go to an existing item, just looking at it, not editing.
Yes, okay. Exactly that. If you're on a receipt, you can put that receipt on hold, or on a voucher, you can put that on hold and then unhold it so you don't lose your work. But if you do notice it when you're in the middle of creating an item, I would say, you know, depending on how far along you are, just finish up that item, and then as soon as you're done, change that tab order.
Right. Okay. All right. So sequence. So this has to be in a look at item, not edit item.
All right, and then I'm so sorry, guys. I do have an appointment right now that I have to go ahead and skip off to. But I will be seeing you guys next Friday. So hopefully you guys have another list of stuff to go over, and I'll get that item level summary report ready for you guys by then. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, and I'll go ahead and send over this video as soon as I can.
Appreciate it.
Have a great one, guys. Bye.
Okay. Bye.